We went to look for tickets and there was a big line, so I thought, are we in the right line? Let's go to the info.
Filipino fans have taken over the DC Open ticket market for Alex Eala, a player whose name was not even featured on the original promotional posters. That is the reality behind a headline the WTA offices could not ignore this week. The Mubadala Citi DC Open was already close to selling out when the tournament officially confirmed Alex Eala's participation. But what happened with the final 3% of available tickets became the moment the tour could no longer overlook the power of her fanbase. Filipino communities flooded group chats, battled through resale platforms, and refreshed SeatGeek pages at 2 a.m. just to secure a seat and watch their rising star compete in Washington. If you have been following Alex Eala's incredible journey since her breakthrough moments in Melbourne, subscribe now because this channel is tracking every tournament decision, every court assignment, and every ticket movement from Washington all the way to Flushing Meadows. To understand how massive this moment became, rewind 5 days before the DC Open ticket explosion. July 6, 2026, Center Court at Wimbledon. Alex Eala walked off after a hard-fought 6-4, 4-6, 6-3 defeat to Jasmine Paolini. While Paolini advanced to the quarterfinals, Alex left Wimbledon as the 20-year-old sensation who had shocked the tennis world just 48 hours earlier by defeating defending champion Iga Swiatek. She was supposed to take nearly 3 weeks of scheduled rest before returning to competition. But everything changed when the DC Open became her comeback tournament. On July 2nd, the tournament released its promotional field announcement. The lineup featured major names such as Alina Svitolina, Marta Kostyuk, Naomi Osaka, and Venus Williams. Alex Eala was not the headline attraction on the poster, but within days, she became the biggest story surrounding the event. Alex Eala's name was placed 5th on the promotional list, described only as a rising Filipina star. But just 9 days later, DC Open chairman Mark Ine was already speaking about the tournament's ticket situation, revealing that availability had become extremely limited, with 97% of tickets sold. The remaining seats disappeared through Filipino community Facebook groups and SeatGeek resale threads faster than the tournament could even update its own graphics. This has become a pattern the WTA can no longer ignore. For more than a year, the tour and its partners have repeatedly underestimated the crowds Alex Eala attracts, treating her popularity as an unexpected bonus instead of recognizing it as a major force. Then, when fans show up in overwhelming numbers, the organizers are left trying to catch up. The DC Open is not the first example. It is simply the loudest reminder yet. The evidence goes back to the 2026 Australian Open. In the first round, Alex Eala faced Alicia Parks and was assigned to Court 6, a small outside court that was never designed for the level of attention she was bringing. Tennis fans on Reddit described the scene as an insane queue just to access the court. Yahoo Sports highlighted the scheduling issue, calling it a situation where the crowd was left in chaos, while Front Office Sports reported that some fans were forced to stand because there was simply not enough space. That is what happens when a player creating superstar-level demand is still treated like a routine first-round competitor. Then came Indian Wells in March 2026, and the message became impossible to ignore. Front Office Sports reporters on-site noted that the crowds following Alex Eala's practice sessions were comparable to those surrounding global stars like Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner, and Venus Williams. While other top players on nearby courts struggled to attract more than a small group of spectators, the world number 31 ranked Filipina star was drawing massive crowds during practice alone. The numbers were telling the same story. Alex Eala was no longer just a rising player, she had become a major attraction on the WTA Tour. That is not just fandom. That is pure gravity. Indian Wells understood it and they embraced it. BNP Paribas Open executive Philippe Dor put the feeling into words during a live interview, making it clear that the tournament was not only accepting Alex Eala's popularity but benefiting from it, promoting it, and celebrating the energy her fans brought. It was a complete contrast from what happened at the Australian Open just weeks earlier. 2 major tournaments, the same player, but 2 completely different approaches. Then Wimbledon 2026 delivered the moment that made everything impossible to deny. July 4th, Court 1. Alex Eala stepped onto the biggest stage of her career and produced one of the most memorable performances in recent tennis history. She defeated defending champion Iga Swiatek 7-6 in a dramatic tiebreak that extended to 11-9, followed by a commanding 6-2 second set. The reigning Wimbledon champion and three-time French Open winner was eliminated, and suddenly the player who had been assigned to court 6 at the Australian Open was becoming the reason tournament organizers had to rethink their biggest courts and scheduling plans. For every Filipino fan who stayed awake past midnight to watch that historic scoreline, this was the moment to recognize something important. You were not exaggerating when you called Alex Eala a generational talent a year ago. You were not overhyping her when you told friends and co-workers to remember her name. The tournaments that once viewed her as just another player in the draw are now racing to catch up with what fans in Manila, Dubai, Daly City, and Alexandria, Virginia already understood long before the rankings reflected it. And that brings the story back to the July 3rd conversation between DC Open chairman Mark Ine and WTA. The message was clear. Tickets were nearly gone, availability was extremely limited, and with 97% of seats already sold, the Alex Eala effect had officially arrived in Washington. Filipino diaspora Facebook groups are now coordinating ticket purchases, organizing group buys, and driving resale activity as demand continues to rise. The DC Open, already one of the biggest professional tennis events in the United States, is preparing for an atmosphere that could feel less like a traditional WTA 500 tournament and more like a Filipino home match taking place in the heart of the American capital. If the tour still needed someone to explain what is happening, it already heard from one of the most respected voices in tennis. Novak Djokovic, the record-setting 24-time Grand Slam champion and one of the greatest players in tennis history, understands the difference between manufactured hype and genuine cultural impact. After watching the sport create and move on from countless next big things over the past 2 decades, Djokovic knows what a real movement looks like. In January 2026, while speaking with ABS-CBN about the massive crowd surrounding Alex Eala's matches, Djokovic described the situation as a good problem to have. Those words carried weight. When a player of Djokovic's experience looks at a 20-year-old's fan base and recognizes it as something special, the conversation changes. The WTA tournament directors can no longer dismiss the demand as a surprise or a temporary trend. Djokovic identified the phenomenon clearly, and the tour has spent the following months proving that it underestimated it. The DC Open is not an isolated ticketing issue. It is a preview of an entire hardcourt season being transformed in real time. The demand surrounding Alex Eala will not disappear after Washington. On August 1st, the National Bank Open arrives in Toronto, a city with one of the largest Filipino-Canadian communities in North America. After that comes the Cincinnati Open, followed by the US Open in late August, where Alex's projected seeding after Wimbledon places her around the number 28 position. 3 major tournaments. 3 opportunities for the WTA to prepare properly, or 3 chances to repeat the same mistake as court 6 at the Australian Open. Because the numbers behind Alex Eala's popularity are not temporary. The Philippines, a nation of more than 115 million people with a deep basketball culture, is discovering tennis month after month and match after match. The Filipino diaspora stretching across California, Canada, the Middle East, and beyond is turning every Alex Eala appearance into a global event. The demand is not slowing down, it is only getting louder. The Filipino diaspora stretching across California, Nevada, Virginia, Ontario, and the Gulf region represents a massive audience the WTA has never fully tapped into before. Filipino sports journalist TJ Manitok explained the scale of this opportunity to Front Office Sports, comparing Alex Eala's rise to the cultural impact of Manny Pacquiao. During Pacquiao's peak years, entire communities would stop what they were doing to watch his fights. Streets became quiet, families gathered, and the country united behind one athlete. That is the level of connection Alex Eala is beginning to unlock, and the DC Open ticket frenzy is only the first glimpse of that potential. But this journey has not come without challenges. Just 48 hours after one of the biggest victories of her career at Wimbledon, Alex stepped onto center court carrying the weight of a long season. Her serve began to struggle, and she wore preventive tape on her left forearm. As she explained, it was more preventive than anything because of the physical demands of the season. Jasmine Paolini took advantage and won the deciding third set 6-3 after the match. Alex sat in the press room and delivered a message that perfectly captured her mindset. She explained that if she could approach difficult moments with bravery, a steady mind, and intensity, she would always be able to look back without regret. She also acknowledged that every player has days when their best tennis does not appear, and accepting those moments is part of the journey. While the WTA may spend this summer trying to understand missed opportunities, Alex Eala has already made one thing clear: she will not waste time looking back with regret. The story has been building for months. Court 6 at the Australian Open in January, practice sessions at Indian Wells drawing crowds comparable to the biggest stars in the sport, Wimbledon becoming a global breakthrough moment, and Mark Ein explaining on radio that DC Open tickets had become very scarce. Even Novak Djokovic recognized the phenomenon before many within the tour fully accepted it. The reality is simple: the DC Open did not sell out because of a marketing campaign. Filipino fans made it happen. One ticket purchase, one group chat, and one late-night refresh at a time. Every court assignment that underestimated Alex Eala's popularity is now returning as proof that the demand was always there. Now the biggest question moves to the US Open. When the draw is revealed in August, will the WTA finally give Alex Eala the spotlight she has earned with a prime-time Arthur Ashe Stadium opportunity? Or will organizers repeat past mistakes and place her on a smaller court while thousands of fans wait outside? Make your prediction before the seedings are announced. If you recognized Alex Eala's rise before the headlines arrived, this is where the story continues. Subscribe and follow every decision, every schedule release, and every moment as the tennis world learns that underestimating Alex Eala is no longer an option.